Welcome, everybody, to another edition of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. This is going to be episode 9. I hope everyone's doing well tonight. I was just talking to my partner here, Mr. Nick Valente. Nick, how's it going?
Hey, doing good, Jeremiah. Doing good. Busy as all.
Good. Absolutely. We got a surprise coming up for y'all. We're going to be starting season 5 here soon within the next couple weeks. So that should be. We got a great lineup of guests coming up for you. So it'll be fun. Tonight we've got an awesome guest. Real honor to have him on the show. Someone I've known for years, good friend, awesome, phenomenal researcher. Been done some documentaries. I've spoken at a lot of conferences, and founder of the ECBRO, Mr. Dan Benoit. Dan, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back on here, Jeremiah. It's been a while, but this is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. The honor's all ours, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. I was a little concerned about my connection, but everything, knock on wood, everything seems great right now.
Right? Knock on wood, yeah.
So
how's things been going, man?
Things have been going great. Very busy with various projects, different events that I've been attending, and planning for upcoming events that I'll be participating in, and not to mention my own events that I host here in Virginia as well. So.
Yep. Good,
and just before we went live, I had just finished watching a new film that was done with me. That's going to be part of a TV series on the streaming network Paraflix. For those who may not be familiar with Paraflix, it's just like Netflix, except it's the paranormal streaming network. However, the TV series called Hometown Haunts, as you see in the background behind me, it is basically going to be like Travel Channel's version of These Woods Are Haunted. However, they're going to conduct, they're bringing Bigfoot, cryptid, aliens, UFOs, all the above to this series with people that's actually had real encounters, real experiences. But this film was awesome. These guys did a great job with it. We had a great investigation when we did the filming. We've heard a few things and experienced some things, and but I basically got to do a lot of what I love to do, is actually not just share my experiences, but also talk about a little bit about my research, which a lot of that was included in the film. So, but yeah, this is coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. So
we'll do, man. I can't wait. Can't wait to check it out. You deserve it, man. You put a lot of work in, man. You always have. You always put a lot of work into the field, so you deserve it, man. That's great. I'm really happy for you, man. Really.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, did you want to? Oh, go ahead, Dan. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just going to mention I just got back from Washington State as well.
Did you?
I was flown out there to do a TV show. It was more or less like a live interview, more or less, and that there should be available. I should be able to share the link around. I'm hoping. Well, they're hoping this coming Friday. It's called Bigfoot Today. Yeah. For those who know Stephen Major, he is the man behind what is it, Northwest Extreme Expedition or Expedition Northwest LLC. So he flew me out to Washington State, and on a Tuesday we did the show on Wednesday, and then he showed me around Spokane, Washington, and then flew me back on Thursday so I could go back to work.
Very cool.
So
nice. Awesome, man. That's great. So Nick, you want to lead off with some questions here for us?
Dan, first let us know where you living these days.
I am in Virginia. I live in the Shenandoah Valley, which is, for those who are not familiar, it's in the western part of the state. Not too far from West Virginia, but I am in Virginia, and very beautiful area. If you've never been through here, we're surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains, and then far to the west, you got on the outskirts, you got the Alleghenies. So,
It's a lot like the Adirondacks are up here. Very, I've driven through your area, and it's very similar. The way the mountains are shaped, and very, very similar. You'd be surprised if I was to show you a video of the Adirondacks. Very similar.
Oh,
very pretty. It's pretty through where you're at. But anyway,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Nick. I need to cut you off there.
So Dave, just for the audience that's not familiar with you, how long you've been doing this and how did you get into it?
Well, honestly, I've only been involved probably around 12 years now. And as I tell everybody, the biggest thing that probably got me involved with doing the research and looking into the whole phenomenon was, of course, the famous 1967 Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin footage. So that there alone actually opened my eyes and actually really got me like so curious that there was this passion that developed, and I had to learn things for myself and find the evidence.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I was already acquainted with the outdoors and much of the wildlife as I grew up in the outdoors, but yeah, it was definitely the footage, So
Yeah,
that sparked.
I think it did it for a lot of us.
Sparked your interest in cryptozoology, and here you are today. I guess you started what, in the year 2000, around there?
Just probably a little bit after that, yeah. So
did you
yeah.
have an encounter, around that time or after it or anything like that?
No, I had experiences, encounters, but they didn't happen until later on after actually really dedicating myself out in the field a lot more. But my first memorable experience was in 2014. Yeah, it didn't happen until 2014, which I wasn't alone. There was actually a total of 6 of us that experienced this. So yeah, yep. I mean, if that's something you want me to get into, I could run you through that. Okay.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say, get into it a little bit and let us know the story and what happened.
Well, it was actually during one of our camping outings. The event actually took place May 3rd of 2014. We did a lot of exploring during the daytime, and then we kept it simple, besides the daytime hiking and exploring. If we weren't hiking and exploring, we were just relaxing and enjoying the campsite. But that one particular day, we decided, hey, let's do a night hike. We got to go out and do some exploring in the woods at night. And from where our campsite was, we were roughly about maybe a mile. I mean, almost a mile, I'll say, to this lake that's in the area. So yeah, we decided to step foot on, go out on foot at night. And, of course, when we started off, there was still a little bit of daylight left. Oh, I'm sorry. There goes my phone dropping down.
No, you're all right. You're all right. It happened.
So, yeah, so we took off. Like I said, it was, enough daylight left. We went prepared. We had our night lights, our headlamps and whatnot. But we spent some time down around the lake, which was nice because there was nobody there, to my surprise, because usually there's people fishing there. And then sometimes you'll have a few people hanging out there after dark, fishing, whatever. But nah, I was actually surprised. Again, there was nobody there. So it worked out great because we paired up in twos and we spread out around the lake. And we thought we'd, do a little playing around there with our vocals and listening through our parabolic mics. And there was one couple that was with us, Kimmy and Darren. They came down from Vermont to participate with us. And now I've heard Kimmy's vocalizations before. And let me tell you, she's a small woman. And anyone that's familiar with Bobo's vocalization, well, here's the female version of Bobo right here. Yeah, she's very impressive. I mean, I was like, this is awesome. So, as we were spread out, we weren't really hearing anything. I mean, we've heard a few things, some movement up on the ridge behind us through our parabolic mic, but nothing exciting, nothing to really get pumped up about. But so we had radio communication, and I radioed down to Kimmy. I said, Kimmy, all right, I want you to do one of your vocalizations. Everyone else, as soon as she does, let's remain silent and listen. And so she gave off her vocalization, and it was probably a good 10 seconds or so after she had gave the vocalization. On the other ridge across the lake, we got a response. It wasn't a really loud, close response, but we all heard it. So
Yeah.
That there got a little exciting, that we got something out there,
Yeah.
and then after that, everything was pretty much quiet. We weren't really getting nothing, or we weren't hearing nothing. At this point in time, after time had gone by, it was really late, so it was time to regroup, and head back to camp. So as we're walking out from the lake on the gravel road, going out to the main forest road, keep in mind, this is in the National Forest in Virginia here. So we're walking along, we're in single file line. We're all talking at normal tone. We're not trying to keep quiet. We're just doing whatever. And as we're walking up over on the right-hand side of the road, here's a deer walking right towards us. And what's interesting and also odd is, like, it wasn't spooked by us at all. I mean, in that area, I mean, it's like the deer know, well, hey, I ain't scared of you. It's not hunting season right now, So, right. So yeah, this deer just nonchalantly walking on the edge of the road. I mean, literally about 10 feet away from us, and then it just ends up going off into the woods, disappearing nonchalantly, like we were nothing.
Hey, excuse me. What time of night was it?
Oh, this was approaching around midnight. Yeah, this was actually a little after midnight now. So
full moon, moonlight, no light. What?
No, there was no moonlight whatsoever. It was very, very dark. I mean, in that area, huh?
You were using flashlights?
We had headlamps on.
Headlamps. Okay.
Yeah, and it was at that time of night. In that particular night, it was one of those dark, damp nights where it was kind of like the cool air set in, where it was almost hard to see things, even with the headlamps. So that's one thing I want to point out, because what I'm about to tell you, it goes along with the situation, or at least I believe it does. So after seeing this deer, we had just gone past, after seeing the deer go off further into the woods. Excuse me one second. My grandson's popping in here. I thought I had my door locked. All right. Okay. Hold on. He shut the door. Okay. So yeah, after seeing this deer, keep in mind, I was in the front. We were walking in almost a single file line. And just after seeing that deer, just walking a few more steps, something over on my left catches my attention, something yellow. And now keep in mind, as I tell everybody what I'm looking at, I'm thinking, what the heck is that? Like, sometimes in random locations in the national forest, you have these little tiny metal yellow plaque signs. And sometimes they say, like, no vehicles beyond this point. Right. And my first initial thought was, what the heck is one of those signs doing there? They don't make no sense for a sign like that to be in this spot, because there's no way you could drive off the road over here. It's all thick, heavy woods here. So I'm still staring at it, and all of a sudden, what gives me focus on what it actually is, it blinked. And that's when I realized, yeah, it's a set of eye shine.
Nice.
And I called the next guy behind me was my buddy Tracy Arnold. I said, Tracy, what the heck is that? Actually, my exact words were, is that a freaking mountain lion? Because I don't know, that's the first thought that runs through my head, because I know they're in the area. It's just, what in the world? I mean, it was sitting kind of low. And that's another thing that made me think mountain lion. Large yellowish looking eyes. I mean, most cats usually have green eyes, but these were yellow. But I don't know why. Just, again, the first thought of a mountain lion was in my head, because this was low. Then, of course, I didn't think about, could this have been a raccoon? Because I've seen raccoons with bright yellow eyes too. Now, as far as whatever it wasn't there long. As we were staring at it, it like zipped off, like disappeared, went off. So Tracy got the rest of the guys up here. He's like, guys, get up here. We got some eye shine up here. So we actually all get up in that spot where we saw that set of eye shine. And for the record, the yellow eyes behind me, those are eyes, actually. That's based off of the whole encounter. So
okay.
Yeah, okay, on the film, The Beast of Elkhorn Lake is the name of the episode that will be on the series. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got in this, and whatever that was that we first saw, we saw it again, a good 30, maybe 40 feet off the edge from where we were standing. And one thing I always have to tell this, from where we were standing, the ground actually sloped down several feet and then leveled back out. But we knew whatever this was small. Yeah, this was small to begin with, whatever it was. And here it is. We're looking at it, and it's doing this fast swaying side to side motion. Like, what in the world is that? You know, I was like, that ain't no mountain lion. I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. None of us did. I mean, it was interesting. It was kind of exciting because it was mysterious, you know, because all we're seeing is this eye shine. We're not seeing no physical features. We're not seeing no hair, fur, or whatever. We're just seeing this eye shine and swaying side to side really fast. And then, yeah, after observing this, well, 4 or 5 feet away, we actually notice another set of eye shine that appears into the scene here. So we're looking at 2 sets of eye shine. The small one that actually we estimated to be around 4 feet tall. Well, now we have another one that's staring at us that's around 6 foot tall, because that's about, you know, easily a good 2 feet over top of this small one. Yeah. So now we're looking at a 4 foot one and a 6 foot one. Now this taller one, about the same color eye shine, and we're noticing that it's not moving, but it blinked its eyes a few times. I mean, it only makes sense. Well, we had bright headlamps on. Maybe our lights were, you know, if you stare into light, you're gonna blink or close your eyes. Yeah. So yeah, we're seeing these 2 subjects right here, and I'm still puzzled by what we're seeing. I mean, I'm trying to identify what animal these could be, because I'm very familiar with every animal or every known animal that's living in these woods, and none of the animals that's racing through my head, it's like none of it's coming up to be a match in this my internal database. You know, so we're still staring at them, and nobody's saying nothing. I mean, there's some small talk going on here. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to scan around, looking through, you know, it's the best I can. And there's some thick brush. Well, I shouldn't say brush, but bushes with a couple trees mixed in them. And I'm looking over there, and something else catches my attention. Down low, like, I mean, almost close to the ground, I noticed another set of eye shine. And this set of eye shine was maybe 5-6 feet away from the 6 foot one. And I'm staring at this. And I pointed out, I said, guys, there's another set of eye shine right there. And I'm staring at this, and all of a sudden I'm watching this set of eye shine actually raise up. And it's getting taller and taller and taller and taller. Yeah. And then at one point, it comes to a stop. This set of eye shine is towering over top of the 6 foot one by another 2 feet. So, and again, keep in mind, at this point, we're seeing eye shine, nothing more. Right. And all of a sudden, you know, Tracy's like, guys, we got squatches. And now I wanted to believe that, but that thought wasn't running through my head till he had said something. But I needed something to confirm that, because eye shine alone ain't going to tell me nothing, you know, especially if I'm already having trouble. I'm trying to identify it with whatever other known species that live there, and it's not matching up. So it wasn't until the tall one actually made a particular maneuver that actually confirmed it for me. The tall one actually turned to its left and then turned back to look back at us and blinked his eyes a couple more times. During this maneuver, and I believe it had to have been the angle or the positioning of the light that we had on our heads, where it caught it at the right angle to where a complete silhouette of broad shoulders and a big round head on top was made out. Yeah. And when I saw this here alone actually confirmed it for me, because I mean, a bear is not going to have no shoulders. You know, this was right. We're looking at 8 feet tall, wide, broad shoulders, and a big round head. And again, all 3 of them had matching eye shine colors of yellow, large yellowish looking eyes, possibly with a slight hint of maybe a little touch of amber in there, but there was no doubt that they were all yellow. And this was very interesting, because at this point, again, this confirmed it for me. This whole situation, and I speak for myself. I want to say I speak for everyone else, except for Kimmy. I know Kimmy expressed her nervousness. She was scared about what was going on. To be honest with you, the rest of us didn't appear to be scared. Matter of fact, we were acting like a bunch of kids. Because a couple of them were trying to make noises and try to trigger a response, or maybe make them say something, or like a vocal or something. But after having a few minutes of this whole observation, they had basically all turned off and went further into the darkness and basically disappeared. The only thing I could think about why we did not see no physical features or make out any hair, the only thing I could think of is that they had to have have black hair or fur where they blended in with the night. I mean, it's the only thing I could think of.
Right.
I can't think of any other logical explanation. I mean, why just the eye shine and the shape of the tall one and nothing more? But however, I myself was convinced that yes, we saw 3 Squatches. And is it possible that they were a family unit? I mean, based off the sizes, that maybe one was a juvenile, one was a female, and then the big boy was a male, but there's a couple things
that's what you thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things I look back at on this. There's the scenario itself. Actually, before I get into that scenario, I'll tell you about something else that happened in that same patch of woods, but just around the corner a year later. I was by myself in 2015. It was during the hunting season. And I do camp out during the hunting season sometimes. I haven't done it yet this year, but right around the corner, less than a quarter mile, there's a couple camping spots. One's a larger one, one's a smaller campsite. These are primitive campsites. And I was camping there by myself, had a fire going. This was probably around 10 o'clock at night. And it was quiet. I was bored. I wasn't tired. I just had to get up and move around. Just sitting there. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy sitting there by the fire. It's relaxing. But at the same time, that particular night, I don't know if because of the silence that was there, I don't know. Something told me to get up and move around. So I had grabbed my spotlight, got up out of my seat, and walked out to the middle of the forest road. Now, keep in mind, I walked out in darkness. I didn't turn the spotlight on until I had got to the middle of that forest road. And one thing I do sometimes, I don't know why I do it, but I do it. I look up and down the road, even though you can't see nothing. I do that in total darkness before I turn the lights on. I don't know. There's something, I don't know. I don't know why it's a habit, or I don't know. However, so as I'm in the middle of the road, my back is towards my camp, and I'm looking back. I'm looking or facing the direction of the forest or the tree line that's out in front of me. Well, for the record, the tree line is approximately about 20 feet from where I was standing. So over to my left, I turn my spotlight on. I pull the trigger on my spotlight and start shining it. Immediately, there was a deer that was inside the bush there, and I kicked up a deer. I didn't see it. I know the sound of the deer. I mean, it ran off on all fours, like I spooked it. Well, I said, oh, cool. Okay, whatever. It's a deer. So I continued panning my spotlight from my left to the right. And as I approached between the 1 and as soon as I hit the 2 o'clock position, I stopped. Because over on that side, whatever was over there, and I did not see this, but I heard this clear as day. It was that close. Whatever it was very large, very heavy, and bipedal. Because what I heard next was these large, heavy bipedal footsteps walking away from me, as if I spooked it and kicked it up, because every step it took had a crunch and a thump behind it. I mean, you could hear it. And as I'm hearing this, my heart is literally like approaching or going up into my throat. So it was, when this happened, I started walking backwards towards my camp. And with my opposite hand that I wasn't holding the spotlight with, I reached down to my belt loop. I started clicking the buttons on my panic button, making sure my vehicle was actually unlocked, because I was starting to freak out. I was like, I never been in that position before or felt like that out in the woods. But as soon as I got back into my camp, I threw a couple more logs in the fire. My shotgun was right there. And I instantly, all of a sudden, calmed right down. Like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous no more, because I just started to like realize or think about what just happened. Like, okay, that was walking away from me. It wasn't walking after me. If it wanted to, I'm sure it could have came and got me if it was aggressive.
Yeah.
But it went away from me. So I had to keep that in mind, that, okay, this didn't mean no harm to me. It went away. Now, here's a scenario that I keep looking back at. I've always found this interesting. From the 2014 encounter and this 2015 situation here, there was deer present prior to having each encounter.
Yeah.
I question this because I've heard that, well, a lot of people believe that deer is a food source for them. I believe it is. I mean, a deer is a common prey for many predators. But so I got to thinking, did I interrupt something? Was something about to happen with those deer prior to them doing whatever? So, I mean, that's something I think about. I don't know. I mean, so, but yeah, that was 2014 and 15. So
sounds like they might have been on those deer, like you were saying. You know, it sounds like they were in the middle of maybe, you know, tracking them and grabbing a snack. You know, no, I gotta agree with you on that one. For sure.
Absolutely.
Now, Dave,
So,
Dave, in your experience, all these years, the 12 years you've been doing it, have you ever had rocks thrown at you, logs, tree branches, heard any wood knocks, or discovered any teepees?
oh my goodness, all the above, yes. But I'll break it down. Like, as far as rocks being thrown in a whole different area, same national forest, but probably about 35, maybe 40 miles away from this particular area where all this took place. Several years ago, I was with an old girlfriend, and we were hiking down this trail, which is very narrow to begin with, but when you get all the way into the back, it gets real thicker because the mountain laurel, everything starts closing in on the trail. But there was this one little spot in the middle of the trail that's like an opening, and it was like kind of a sandbar area. And we decided to stop there. And at this time, I had a, smartphone. Smartphones were, I guess, starting to be popular, I guess, or I had one.
Yeah.
It was a cheap one. It wasn't the best quality, but however, it was a smartphone and it had the camera on it. But off the trail, looking across over through the mountain laurel where there's a hillside that starts to go up. Something over there caught my attention. It's like there was something dark up there on the hill. And I didn't know what it was, but I used my camera. I turned it on, started filming, and I zoomed in, just enough to where it didn't get too blurry. Because on this phone here, you start to zoom in, it really starts to become pixelated and distorted.
Yeah.
But I zoomed it in just enough to where me and this girl, we were looking through my phone I had to hold it up a little bit, because it was just to watch over the bushes. And whatever this was, you could see it kind of going up and down, side to side, moving around. I was like, she was like, that's got to be a baby squatch. I was like, I don't know. I said, I'm thinking more of a bear, I mean, I don't know. It was, like I said, it was inconclusive, but whatever it was dark and moving around in the bushes. So after doing this little film for a little while, we had stopped and we continued up the trail. And when you reach a certain point to continue on the trail, you got to cross this creek. Excuse me. So luckily, the water was not flowing too much. It was easy to cross that creek. So we did. And as soon as we got to the other side of the creek where the trail continued, we had just started walking up on that trail. And all of a sudden, this big football-sized stone comes landing right between me and her. And we stopped. We look at each other, and then we look back over where we just came from. And again, you can't see nothing. It's so thick. The vegetation and the foliage is just overgrown. I mean, the mountain laurel takes over that section of forest really well. And we're not seeing nothing. And I'm a little on edge now because we're deep in the woods here. I'm unarmed at this particular time. I think the most I've had on me was maybe a Bowie knife. And, I do carry a sidearm when I'm out in the woods, but at this particular time, I did not have nothing with me. But like I said, maybe a Bowie knife. So we're staring over there, and somewhere in the background from where we just came, we hear, ooh, kind of like, okay, you know. So we're like, okay. I look at it, I said, come on, let's continue up, because when you go further up, it wasn't much further. It comes into this clearing out here. Me and a friend of mine, we kind of nicknamed the area like the picnic area, because it's like an open grassy area with a couple trees. So we got into that area. We looked around, hung out there for a little while. I was like, all right, we got to go back down that trail to get back out of here. So just stay close to me. We'll move pretty swiftly here. But yeah, nothing else happened after that. But something told me, like, okay, maybe that was not a bear up there. Maybe that was something else. And perhaps we just got a little too close for comfort, and they were warning us, you know. So but but yeah, that there happened. As far as tree knocks, I've heard multiple tree knocks throughout that area. The most interesting thing was getting a response from a tree knock, where actually I had 2 responses one time, me and that same girl and one other gentleman. Now, this is back in the area where I had the other encounters I shared a little while ago. Well, we were up behind this area where the encounters took place. We were up one ridge. We just climbed and worked our way down to the bottom and came up another ridge. At this particular point, we were like needed a break. We all had to sit down on the ground and catch our breath. But in my backpack, I had a piece of wood that I used for tree knocks. I said, guys, I'm going to do a tree knock just for the heck of it while we're sitting here. So I get up, I give off this one big pop, this real solid tree knock. And then from the opposite ridge that we just came from, looking back at it, down to my left, there's a response somewhere down to the left. Knock. Mm-hmm. And then within a few short seconds, up on the same ridge, somewhere up on the right, is another knock. And they're like, I'm looking back at them. I said, you guys hear this? I said, something's responding to me, or, you know. So what I thought was cool about that was, it's like, I don't know if they're, you know, I'm not seeing what's doing these other tree knocks. However, it's responding to me. We didn't encounter no other people. You know, as far as we know, there was no other people in that area hiking up in this part of the woods. But that was telling me, if these are squatches that are responding to me, I felt like they were letting me know their location. I mean, in this particular, I know a lot of people believe tree knocks could be a sign of warning or whatnot. I mean, they could have multiple meanings, but this particular moment was more or less like, you know, I don't know. It would just let me know where they were. Cause like, hey, I'm here. I gave up my tree knock. That one's giving off their tree knock, and the one up, because if you listen to the sound and the directions, that's what the conclusion that I came up with. So I don't know. To me, that only made sense. But as far as responses, that was one of my tree knock experiences where I got responses, where I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, as far as, I mean, there's a lot of little minor things that's happened over the years, but these are more experiences that are more memorable. Now I've come across, you know, over the years, various sizes of impressions and some tracks that are very clear in different parts of the national forest. I have collected, like, I made casts of some of these tracks. There's some tracks I have found where I've never made casts of them because I didn't have the material with me to do so. But I do take pictures if I'm able to, you know. Some of these impressions, some of these tracks, when I find them, you can see them very clear in person. But when it comes to taking pictures or videoing them, sometimes the video footage and tracks, and cameras, it doesn't do justice trying to pick up the details. That's one thing I noticed, you know. Like I said, like, I've shown other people, like the other people have been with me when we found tracks. but then again, like I said, taking pictures of them, like it doesn't look nothing like what we saw in person. So it's kind of disappointing, but I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles, you know. So,
it is. Unfortunately, it is.
So,
The cookie crumbles sometimes lots of ways we don't want it to, you know.
right, exactly. So, but
Dan,
yeah.
do you have any interesting cases you worked on lately that you can talk about? I know you do. You're a lot of boots on the ground. You do a lot of stuff. Anything interesting in the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, I've been gathering some reports. There's lately, I just have not had time to really follow up with certain ones. I've been gathering information on one particular one, learning about like one in particular. I've been learning some information on the location, which I'm very familiar with this location. I actually been to this location before. This is a Virginia resident that actually camps in a part of West Virginia that I'm very familiar with. However, her and her husband's been camping there twice and had various interesting activities and things occur there. This lady here, she's a Bigfoot believer, but she's been experimenting, leaving gifts off into the woods by this camp. Keep in mind, these campsites are also very primitive, and she's been leaving stuff there and getting stuff like whatever she leaves there gets taken, and other things, odd things, get left there. For example, she's left cookies and pieces of chocolate where those cookies have been removed, been gone, and then stones have been placed in replace of them. So I don't know, I've always found that interesting. I have yet to really get out there to really check out this particular area where her campsite was. She has heard or reported hearing various vocals around 2 a.m. You know, she said she's heard them like very close to where they sound like they're like not far outside of her camper, you know. So yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's one of them, but I mean, there's other things I have yet to go investigate. My biggest thing here, I mean, it's, you know, preparing and trying to organize a few things with work and my events that I host. And then my events for 2023 have already started to get built up a little bit. So I think mainly June and October is going to be my busiest months. There's a few other things going on, which I haven't really confirmed yet I had confirmation about, but like I said, as far as like a couple weeks ago, like I said, I just got back from Washington State. Now I was asked to go back out there in May, not to Washington State, but they were going to fly me out to British Columbia. But I had to turn that down after giving it some thought. That was going to be a filmed Bigfoot expedition. There was a couple other big names that were involved with that. One of them, I believe, I was told that what's his name, Doug? I don't know how to pronounce the name. The producer of Monster Quest. He was supposed to be. Yeah. So yeah, it was going to be a 10-day expedition out in British Columbia, and I had to tell Steve and Major that I said, I really want to do this, but I can't. It's for what I do with all the other events, with my PTO, you know, my time off from work. I said, I can't. That's going to really kill me there, you know. So I had to turn that down because I wasn't going to get paid for that. So I mean, as much as I really would have liked to be a part of that, I thought that would have been great, you know, to have under my belt as far as the experience out in another location I've never been to before with, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I figured, hey, I had to make the decision to turn it down. I'll be patient. Maybe I'll have other opportunities with other, you know, whatever later on down the road. So we'll wait and see how that turns out. So I know Steven had mentioned about trying to get me back out there in August. So we'll see how that goes.
Very cool.
So I just have to play things by ear, and I have to be very careful with my time because, like I said, I can't hurt myself, you know, take off too much time and use it in one spot where I need multiple time off, you know, because I mean, there's other events I've been, you know, like I'll be in I mean, most of my events are here on the East Coast, so I mean, that's where I spend a lot of my time. So, but
So Dave, when you're out in the forest, because I know I'm out there doing field investigations on a weekly basis, I have not come across any Bigfoot. But for you, being in Virginia, besides Bigfoot, have you come across any other cryptids? Mothman, Dogman, for instance, anything like that? Any signs?
Honestly, I have not. Because it's funny you asked that, because I know I have been asked about that before. As a wildlife researcher, as well as a Bigfoot researcher, one of the main things I'm always looking for is wildlife signs in general. I'm always looking for the various wildlife, especially bears particularly, but I like to know their I like to study their behaviors and especially their diets, because call me crazy, weirdo, but I like to examine animal poop. But
we find out a lot of stuff about an animal.
Absolutely. So but as far as various animal tracks, I am always looking for tracks. That's one thing I specialize in, or focus on, I should say, is finding tracks and identifying tracks. But as far as anything other than bipedal humanoid looking tracks, I can't honestly say I've ever come across anything. I mean, if I do, trust me, I will definitely not hold that back. I will definitely share that information if I do. So, but if there's anything other than Bigfoot in my general research area, I mean, if there is, I believe I'll find those tracks. I have yet to ever come across anything different. So, but you never know.
So you
never know where you're going to find when you're out there.
Wildlife. Have you ever come across any sandhill cranes in the area, or signs of them?
I've heard of that. You'll have to describe that. I'm not familiar with those.
They could go as tall as 6 feet. Their eyes are like oval shaped, and there's red around the eyes. They have about a good 6 or 7 foot wingspan.
Oh wow! Okay, now that you're describing them, I believe, or now I know what you're talking about. But no, I can't say I've ever seen anything like that whatsoever.
Yeah, they have a flight pattern from as far down as Florida all the way up to Michigan, Chicago.
Okay.
That's what why I'm referring to it is because you're near West Virginia.
Right.
Mothman was seen. And when I did my investigation of Mothman down in that area, down in the old TNT plant and other areas, I did get a sighting on a bunch of sandhill cranes. And I was just wondering if you had any in your area of Virginia.
That's interesting. No, I mean, I can't say that. I mean, not for me. If anyone else has, I would love to hear that from someone. I mean, that's if they know how to identify that species, but so
small one, I guarantee you'll identify it because, like I said, oval eyes going from top to bottom, super red, and of course they have eye shine at nighttime, and it looks pretty spooky if you hit them with a little bit of a light. Migration pattern, like I said, is down from Florida straight up through Virginia, West Virginia area. Well, western part of Virginia and West Virginia area. But just something to ask about because I'm curious about their migration pattern and where they go on.
Yeah. So you think these cranes, do you think these could be a misidentification for people claiming to have seen Mothman?
Absolutely. I've been interviewed on other shows, and when I told them about my my different research throughout the country, that's what I found. I know a lot of people said no, they're a type of owl, but no, the owls that were seen during the Mothman times were not as tall, and they were stationary. Whereas these things, they will fly and they will follow lights. I mean, it's part of a habit that they have, and part of their migration is they may be they follow a highway.
Okay.
People have said, "Oh, they're chasing my car." Well, it's possible it was just flying that way on its migration up north.
Right.
When I was down there, I did see some of that nighttime, and I'm going to tell you, Dave, you could see the red combined with their eye shine, and it gave a pink glow to them, and it was something. But I hit them with a big spotlight, 6 million candle power, and
wow,
lit up the whole body. So there it was. But just something to look for, because you said you also do nature.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that with me as well. That's something I'm definitely got to keep that in mind.
Something I found is the sounds that Bigfoot makes. I mean, they like to imitate different sounds, but
right.
something that imitates a Bigfoot is an owl. So
Ow, I hear. Yeah, right.
people will tell me, "Oh, look, I have the sound. This you got to listen to the sound." Well, I'll put it through a data bank that I have. I have a little data bank of different animal sounds, and I go, "No, that's an owl. I'm sorry, you don't have a Bigfoot in your backyard."
Right, right.
And they'll check out their backyards for a couple of weeks and come back to me. Yeah, we got a group of owls back there, but besides the normal whoo, you know that.
Yeah,
They
we have.
make some long sounds.
Yeah, yeah. We got in my area. We got barred owls, and tell you what, it's awesome hearing them, especially when they communicate close together.
Unreal. Yeah, it's awesome.
Now, I tell you, there's some sounds that not a lot of people are familiar with that they do, and they will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I've had a group of people camping in my one of my camp spots in my main research area, right around the corner from where my encounters took place. We'll be sitting there at nighttime because because I tell people, I said, I know a lot of people love to go scouting through the woods at nighttime, which is cool. I have no problem with that, but you'll hear a lot of the coolest stuff just sitting and relaxing at camp, and because all the nightlife, they become alive, they get active,
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I've had big tree knocks happen right outside the camp, by sitting and relaxing at camp, and but so yeah, the owls, they give off this god awful scream. It's like, I can't describe. I think I had it recorded one time. I don't know whatever happened to that, but yeah, I've heard them scream, and I've had friends of mine out there camping with me, and these are fellow Bigfoot believers, and they're like, "Bro, you hear that?" I was like, "It's just an owl, relax." But it scared me. It scared me too, because it catches you off guard. You don't expect it. It just comes from out of nowhere, Shoot, I tell you, I've had the sound of a rabbit being attacked and hauled off by an owl or coyote or fox, and the screams of it. If you're familiar with the sound, I've had people get it. Yeah, I've had people get excited over that. I said, no, this is just nature. People get used to it.
Fisher too. We have a lot of fisher up here. I'll tell you what, when they scream, that'll send chills right down your spine.
Yeah,
Fishers, merns, anything like that sends chills right down your spine. When I bring people out, they'll say, "Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Was a Sasquatch?" No, buddy, it's just a fisher, Just a fisher.
Wow.
As we all know, Bigfoot likes to imitate different things.
They do.
The women, the grunts, and screams. And I know a Bigfoot researcher up in Oregon. He taped some screams out there in the wilderness, sent it back to me. I ran it through my little database, and I thought at first it was going to be a mountain lion or maybe a bobcat. No, none of it matched up. So
wow,
he must have had some Bigfoot. I mean, he found a ton of the teepees, which I'd like to get onto and ask you what you think those are all about. You think that's just to tell the other Bigfoot that are passing through that, hey, we were here?
Well, that's a good question, because I have come across several teepee type structures, which I have a lot of them on my Facebook pictures, and some of these as far as, I don't want to say they're shelters, but at the same time, I believe there's possibilities that they could be territorial, or they could have a variety of meanings behind them. But I don't know. It's kind of tough though. I mean, I always looked at more of the X formations. If Bigfoot are putting these X's together, I've always believed that. Yeah, I've always believed those were more dominant signs of dominance or territorial. But but the teepee structures, that's a good question. I mean, part of me wants to think that they were types of shelter, maybe. I have found what appears to be shelter structures with large trees put together. But I don't know. I can't really put a finger on it, but I believe there's, as I tell people, there's possibilities. I can't make no clear statement on a conclusion on that just yet. I mean, but there's possibilities of what they could be. So,
well, Dan, if we were to make a teepee structure, we would put brush over it, to give us some protection from the wind, the sun, the rain.
right.
All the ones I've seen, and I have seen some throughout the country, and specifically in Washington State, when I've been up there, none of them had coverings over them. So I don't know. I was just theorizing that it's possibly a marking, that we were here and go this way.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that Bigfoot does that are like type of communication, like the tree knocks, for instance, like the grunts, the howls, for instance. That would be to either tell another Bigfoot, the tree knocks, that we're here, or to warn them that people are here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the tree knocks, in my estimation. The teepees, maybe to say, hey, we were here, now we're gone. And the throwing of rocks and of tree branches at people. I think it's an up and up warning. You're close to our family, our kill, or our young, or take a hike.
Oh
take
yeah.
A hike. Yeah. And it's wise to take that advice and get out of there.
Right.
Here's something, because Jeremiah has had this happen. The mind speak and the infrasound. Have you ever had that happen?
I have never had no experiences on receiving anything that would be considered mind speak. Now, as far as infrasound, yeah, there may have been one moment, but I can't really say for sure. It was there was a long time ago where I was walking up through the woods, and I was walking up the hillside, going up on a ridge where there was a trail just above, where I was working my way up to get to that trail. Right when I got to that, where that trail was, there was like this overwhelming, just for a short time, there was this overwhelming, sudden pressure in my head. It wasn't from elevation, because the elevation was not high here. I mean, like I said, I was down on the bottom, and this is probably about a 30-foot hike up to where this trail was. And like I said, it just almost like a slight minor headache. But after walking off a few feet or so, it cleared up, that would be the closest thing I could ever describe as something like infrasound. Because I believe infrasound, when people experience it, it hits them in different ways. Not everyone's the same. Kind of like what they say about the whole COVID thing. It affects everybody differently, So, yeah.
It made me nauseous and threw my equilibrium off, nausea, vomiting. It's and I've heard people say, well, you just described it, headaches and stuff like that. Only reason I say it was infrasound is I was telling, when I told Nick the story originally, I was on one knee by a tree, and I knew something was behind me. And I turned around real fast, and I saw a brown flash run by me. And all of a sudden, the equilibrium, my equilibrium got all messed up. I started to power vomit, And Nick and I talked about it several times. And I think I interrupted a hunt, or I came too close to a kill, maybe, or a juvenile.
Wow.
But I actually did see this thing run by me. And as soon as it ran by, everything got all messed up. So I think you're right. I think it hits everybody a little bit different.
And well, it's believed that they put off like a type of energy. I hear different things. Perhaps like this energy or whatever it is, this infrasound. If Bigfoot is the one projecting this,
Yeah.
Perhaps it's a frequency that our natural system is not capable of I don't know the right way to put this.
Processing.
Right.
Right.
Right. Well, yeah, we're not able to absorb what they give off, more or less.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or it
So-
could be already, you never know.
Yeah.
What's that, Nick?
It could be some sort of a warning they're giving you.
Oh, yeah.
That very well could be. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of animals, a lot of species do, like mountain lion, mountain lions, yeah, but like mainly lions in the jungle.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they
Tigers
give off
are
infrasound
notorious for it. Yep.
because they
I know
that's
two-
how they attack their prey. They stun them. So
They stun them. Sumatran
Yeah.
tigers are notorious for it. They'll stun their prey with that frequency, and when they're paralyzed momentarily, they pounce on them.
right.
It's actually a very effective way to make a kill, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah.
Extremely effective way, to
Now,
make a
Dan,
kill.
have you ever had a sighting of a Bigfoot during the daytime?
No, not well. Wait a minute. Let me back up. I tell you, what I will share is something I've only shared with a couple of people before because it was something, I don't know. I can't even remember what year this took place, but it was up behind the lake that's in my research area. I was hiking up behind there where there was these big mountain ridges up behind the lake. I wanted to go venture behind there to see what the area looked like.
Right.
So after going up on the hill that goes way up behind the lake, there's a big field up there, big rock wall, and you walk down behind the back. Well, the tree line that comes down, I was like, okay, I happen to find an easy way to get in there and really explore. Well, after I got in there, I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. It looks like this is an old trail, like old logging trail or something, because logging was a big part of that area many years ago, till the state bought it out. However, that's what this looked like. There was these two massive ridges that were on your left and right. And this what appeared to be old trail kind of went up between them. So I had a few obstacles to work around. There was a lot of fallen timber up there, and you got this nice, beautiful, the stream that flows down through there. So this is like beautiful scenery right here, because when I go hiking, I'm very observant. I love nature in general. So I enjoy being out there to see the scenery. So I decided, well, I'm going to go up here, check this out, and sure enough, you got one side, it's clear till you get to the top. Then you have a lot of pine and a mixture of oaks and other hardwoods and whatnot. Then I'm looking up on the other side. I said, man, look at those cool rock formations. A couple of them look like caves, like there could be a cave up there. And that's one of the things I like to look for in my area, because I believe there is caves out there. I actually have found small ones. I never really tried to go in them before. But when I saw this, I was like, well, this side looks cool, but this side looks like it might have caves. I'm going to take a chance and climb this ridge. Now, keep in mind, it's not vertical, but it's almost vertical, where I had my big rucksack on this one particular day, and I had my drinks and stuff, and I had a little weight in there. So I decided to climb this mountain ridge. So one thing I had to be careful of after I discovered getting up so far, underneath the leaf litter, there was a lot of loose shale. And then tell you, if anyone's ever been on a hill with shale, that's very dangerous. So yeah, especially where it's slipped, you could easily lose your footing real quick. So I decided, well, I had to get closer to the ground, and then I had to almost work my way up in an angle and find where the closest trees were to grab them. And it took me a while to get up there because I constantly had to stop and catch my breath, because it was literally, I was really climbing and putting some time, some effort into this. However, I got up to this one spot where I thought was a cave. However, it was not a cave, but it was a very large rock that had almost like this deep cutout, like a really nice den. And I said, well, I said, almost any bit of wildlife could take shelter right here and get out of the elements. This is awesome. I decided to stay put there for a while. I said, I made it this far up here. I mean, the top of the ridge was a little further up, but I stayed there for a while. And I had my camcorder with me. I pulled the camcorder out, set up my tripod. I wanted to scan the area. And I can tell you at this particular time, the camcorder I had, I believe, was a Sony. Oh, no, it wasn't even Sony. It was a cheaper brand, but it did good footage. Don't get me wrong. It took good footage. And it had this super, super mega zoom on it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the only thing is about the zoom, you actually almost have to be perfectly still with it, or it's very shaky. But I did my best with it, and I'm scanning the opposite ridge because from the height or the level of height that I was at up on this one ridge, I had a beautiful scenery of everything on the opposite side. And so I started zooming across and looking over there, and then all of a sudden something odd stands out to me. I said, what the heck is that? And I'm looking over there. I'm watching through my camera because you cannot see with the naked eye. That's how far I was. So I'm zoomed in, and I had to zoom out just a little bit because it was a little too shaky. So finally I got it to stabilize. I was like, I'm looking, I'm staring at this. Now there was a little bit of breeze. So yeah, you could see some foliage, the leaves kind of blowing, like the branches going up and down like this. But there was something dark over there. There was what appeared to be a dark figure standing there. Then as I'm staring at this, I see a small dark figure that actually kept going from left to right and ducking down, up and down. I was like, holy crap. I have video footage of this somewhere. I believe it's on one of my, I have to go through and find it. If I'm not mistaken, it is on one of my old YouTube videos.
Very cool.
I believe I have this. So it is on YouTube. I believe it is. I have a lot, I forget how many videos. I used to have a lot of field videos on there. But like I said, whatever the taller dark figure was didn't really appear to move. I think maybe once or twice possibly, but whatever else was with it was smaller and kept moving around. And I thought maybe that this could have been maybe a possible female, whether it's young.
Very young, yeah.
You know, and for the record, this was like, I don't know if I was assuming that it was at the same level because I'm pretty high up. If you only knew like these two ridge lines, these two mountain parts of the mountain out there, I mean, I'm up there pretty high. So it only makes sense to me if these were Squatches. You know, you hear people call them ridge walkers, which I believe they are.
Yeah.
They stay on the higher ground to, and come down in the evening to feed and whatnot. But I believe that this could have been a possible female Squatch with its juvenile.
Right.
Like I said, this was many years ago, but I can't say it was a clear sighting either.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to believe it was a Bigfoot. I'll put it that way. I personally feel that it's still inconclusive. So I can't say 100%. That's why I haven't really spoke about it too much, because I don't want to assume it was. But I mean, what else could it have been? That was, I mean, it didn't make sense for me to think that or to see it as a bear. It didn't look like bear movement. It didn't look like a bear shape. It looked like humanoid shapes.
Right.
So, but yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah. Man, something that comes up a lot, and I did some research on this extensively. My research was with Dogman and Bigfoot sightings over a certain year time period. What people saw before, after, or before and after. Have you ever had the experience where you saw some sort of a white orb in the sky, like a UFO type of thing, before before having a sighting of a Bigfoot, or even after?
Honestly, no. That's one thing. If I have ever seen anything like that, again, that's something I would definitely share. But I've never witnessed anything like that before. So yeah.
Something I wanted to bring up, because I've interviewed close to 800 people by this point, and a lot of people, 93%, actually did see some sort of a orb in the
Right.
before, after, or both before and after, because a lot of folks that have had sightings during the daytime,
Right.
I like to call it where the footprint ends. Like, they'll follow footprints and suddenly they're gone. So they either are able to go through a portal, be transported upwards, maybe into I don't know, it's just a theory. Be
Right.
up into a spacecraft, possibly go through a portal, interdimensional travel, because they're really able to disappear like at the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Blend in. You probably had that happen where they blend in with the scenery really well.
Right.
But 93% of the people I had interviewed had that happen with them in their encounters.
Right. Well, it's funny you bring that up because in this film that I just watched that's going to be released soon with me in it, part of the investigation that we did with the film crew. Now, the film crew themselves, they are part of a paranormal team. They have their own TV show and everything. And however, one of the experiments they did, which we didn't get no activity out of it, but Brandon, that was with us, as you're watching the film later, that you'll see that he talked about these recorded sounds that NASA captured out in space.
Really?
Yeah, that he used one of them to play out in the woods at nighttime when it became night. We tried, because we're open-minded. We want to try different experiments, and so yeah, he played this very cool sound, and he played it a few times, but nonetheless, we didn't hear nothing. Now I know Tana, that was with us, Lyle's wife. She kept feeling certain things because she could sense things and feel certain things. Now, on very few occasions, I can too, but it's very rare that I do. But however, she kept pointing in certain directions up behind where we were doing all this at.
Right.
And it's funny, she ended up pointing something out in a direction where I kept hearing movement. She felt something there, and I kept hearing movement there. And then eventually a couple of the others did too. But yeah, hearing that sound, that I didn't know NASA had anything available to that, but it makes me actually want to think, because I have a friend who works for NASA here in Virginia. So I like to know, I need to dig her brain and see what pick her brain and see what she might know. If she might have access to something, because she works for the research center. So, so who knows? Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. So we always tell people, keep an open mind. No matter what your deep down beliefs or theories are, keep an open mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I normally take a very objective approach on a lot of things, especially with the alleged theories. Because in the beginning, when I first got involved with all this, when I got on social media, I didn't realize there was so many people involved with Bigfoot alone, and where
not me either.
Yeah, it was kind of like exciting, because I started to see all these different theories that people are throwing out there. And me being new at the time, I was like, well, I can't jump on board with any of these quite yet. I need to do my own research to try to draw my own conclusion on some of this. But nonetheless, over the years, even up till now, there's a part of me that feels like I have become a little bit more open-minded to a certain extent. I won't deny something, but it doesn't mean I could still disagree on something, but yet keep it in consideration, but if that makes any sense. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely does. I feel we're random where I feel the same way. Absolutely. We're almost running out of time here, gentlemen. I just want to ask you a couple more questions, Dan. What do you what's your advice to people that are just getting involved in this field?
Well,
what kind of advice can you give?
Like, as far as Bigfoot goes, because I've been asked this before, that people want to get involved with Bigfoot. Well, first of all, get familiar with the outdoors. Pick an area, choose an area, get familiar with the layout of the land. the other biggest thing is learn and know and understand your wildlife. That's a big thing. One of my biggest things I always throw out there and that I quote is know what is known before seeking the unknown.
Good way to put that.
Right. It's just because so many people out there are giving Bigfoot and cryptids credit when a lot of our known species of wildlife are known for doing the same things that we're trying to, point fingers at Bigfoot for.
I
mean, trust me, in the beginning, I was one of those same people where everything in the woods was, oh, that's got to be Bigfoot. That's Bigfoot. I had to stop. It's like, whoa. I said, wait a minute. That's why I study and focus on bears a lot, because bears are notorious for a lot of what people are claiming Bigfoot does.
Right.
So it's very important that you got to know and understand wildlife, and what they do. As we were talking about vocals is another thing. Try to learn the vocal. YouTube's a good source for learning vocals of various sources of animals. I mean, it'll get you started anyways. Sure. But so I mean, have fun with it. I mean, if you can get involved with it, have fun, and don't make this a competition like a lot of people do. We're all in it. We're all in this together.
The only way we're going to get answers is if we all work together.
Right. There's people out there wanting to be number one in this field, which there's no experts, but there's no experts, but you have people that are more experienced. I'll say it that way, So
you're very well put. Very well put, man.
Very well put. Very well put. Dan, how can people get a hold of you if they want to report an encounter in your area and have you hop on the investigation?
Well, I mean, I'm all over social media, Facebook mainly. However, I have Facebook pages. I have the ECBRO fan page. I have the ECBRO Facebook group. Also, you can email me at ecbro98@gmail.com. Right. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, you can go to I have a personal website, which is ecbrofounder.com. I'm on Twitter. I'm on
right?
What's that? Oh, yes, the one I sent you earlier.
Yeah, I sent this to Nick as well. So.
Okay, awesome. I mean, like I said, I'm Instagram, Twitter, Facebook are the main ones I'm on most of the time. So, I mean, I'm on Facebook, always posting something, regardless if it's personal or not. So, I mean, just Google my name. I'm everywhere. So,
that's good, man. Well, thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this interview. It's been a long time since I talked to you. It was great.
Absolutely. Man. Thank you to both of you guys. You guys have been awesome hosts on this. So,
I appreciate that. And I'd love to have you back sometime at some point.
Just straight up information, and that's it. No fluff. That's great.
You're right. Well, thank you very much.
Not a problem. Our pleasure, Dan. Just stick around for a minute, guys, after I stop the recording. We're just now, everyone have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, this has been episode 9 of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends.
Right. Another awesome guest. And once again, Dan, thank you for having me. We appreciate it, buddy.
Good night,
thank you. Thank you, Nick. And thank you, Jeremiah.
You're welcome, buddy. Our pleasure.